But Brandon, let's move into our final topic, and another thanks to Matthew for joining us on the podcast today. But we're kind of staying in the world of college basketball, and we got a big story to talk about. Usually, we don't really focus on the recruiting game. We usually talk about once they're here, but this is kind of he's here in college basketball now, even though he's going to be playing next year. But Zion Williamson, one of the huge recruits, one of the huge guys that everyone's talking about for the 2019 NBA draft, assuming to be a one-and-doner, made his decision over the weekend. Everyone, I told you before the podcast, 247 Sports, their crystal ball of writers were like 85%. He's going to Clemson. It all planned out. Clemson just ended their game. He was going to make a decision, and then he decides to go to Duke. So basically, here's what I'm going to ask you, Brandon. Zion Williamson decides to go to Duke. What does this mean for Duke basketball and the rest of college basketball?
Well, this means for Duke basketball that they're going to continue to be set for a couple of years to come.
Set for life?
Yes, set for life.
We're going to talk about that in a little
bit. Yes, that's perfect segue into that one. But Duke is just, they're set. Mm-hmm. They're set. They continue to just pump in great talent year after year after year after year. And this kind of goes back to the conversation that we just got done with having with Matt, is that, you know, Wisconsin, a team that last year was a quality team, a strong team. This year they sit at 10-10, and they lose their senior class for the most part, and they're struggling to find that combination of next men up type of deal. Whereas Duke, I don't remember when Duke ever seemed to have that problem. They always have a next man up, a next 5 men up. Mm-hmm. Every single year, the Duke Blue Devils are stacked. Even when they don't go far in the tournament, they are stacked. This is a very, very good team. This is a very, very good coach. And it's because of this coach and the prestige of that university that they continue to get guys like Zion Williamson, and why they continue to get guys like R.J. Barrett and Cam Reddish. Mm-hmm. Oh, did I not say that they're the top 1 and then 3 guys, where Zion Williamson's the number 2? The Duke Blue Devils literally got the top 3 recruits in the ESPN 100. That is unreal. That's absolutely unreal, but that is why the Duke Blue Devils, every single year, continue to be just fine. Because they recruit like none other. And they sell a very good product. And Duke, again, the prestige of Duke University and Duke Athletics.
Probably the weakest Duke team that I can remember was what tourney year was that? 2012 was the tourney year. Do you remember who they lost to?
They lost to, was it a 14 seed or?
It was a 15 seed.
15
they were
seed.
2.
I'm trying to.
You want the mascot of the team they lost to? It was a Mountain Hawk.
That's I knew that wasn't.
CJ McCollum played for this team, but he did not play in this game.
I don't know why I can't think of it, because I was just thrilled when it happened. Lehigh, yes.
This was probably the worst starting 5 that I can remember for a Duke team. The Plumlee brothers, Seth Curry, Thornton, and then Austin Rivers. That's probably the worst starting 5, and it wasn't a bad starting 5. That's probably the worst. When they lost to Mercer 2 years later, you had Rodney Hood, you had Jabari Parker, you had Plumlee was on your bench, you had Quinn Cook in the bench as well, and then you had Emil Jefferson too.
But I'll be honest with you, again, 2012, they didn't go far in the tournament. But they bounced right back in 2013 with another good squad. And then 2014, they, what you just mentioned, they get bounced in the tournament. They bounce back the next year with another good squad.
In 2015, they bounced back where Grayson Allen as a freshman helped them win the national title.
But that's exactly what I'm saying, is that Duke is always, there's never a year when Duke, it doesn't seem like, I mean, please remind me of the year when it happened, if it happened. But in my time of really being an avid college basketball fan, which has been many years now, there's not a time when Duke has not been able to bounce back the next year and still get to the tournament. Wherever they end up landing in the tournament, they get there. They bounce back. They do well in the regular season. They get to the tournament. Next year, they bounce. I can stop saying bounce back. They come back the next year. They do well in the regular season. They get to the tournament. They come back the next year. They do really well in the regular season. They get to the tournament. There is no, Duke came back this next year and they really struggled in the regular season and they couldn't make the tournament. Words that I don't think have ever been spoken.
Two things. First off, little history lesson. Last time Duke didn't make the tournament, I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
1995.
I would have been what? 2.
You were 2. You were 2 the last time Duke didn't make the tournament. The last time Duke lost in the first round and didn't make it out of the second weekend, the next tournament, was 07-08. So my junior year into my senior year, they lose to VCU in the first round in 07. Then the next year, they win by 1 over Belmont. I thought they were going to lose that game. And then they lose to West Virginia on the Saturday or Sunday that they played.
So Duke always finds a way to stack the table in their favor. Or stack the deck in their favor. Always. Always. They have these guys that always want to come to Duke. Yep. And again, whether they're staying until they're a senior or they're leaving after 1 year, they want to come to Duke. They just want to do it. I mean, why would you not want to come and play for the best coach in all of college basketball? Arguable, but I think that
winning coach in college basketball, I will say.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I mean, you want to go to a winner. You want to go to a winner. And again, I keep saying it. I've said it, this is probably the 4th time I've said it. Best coach in all of college basketball in terms of wins and the prestige of Duke overall, their athletic program, their academics, everything. It's got people say Duke and half the people love it and the other half want it to burn to the ground. It's one of those spots.
I'll be honest though, throughout my entire life, I have it's weird because usually it's like, oh, you like Duke, you hate UNC, you hate UNC, you like Duke. I've always hated them both. I can't stand them both. UNC is more so because I'm not going to talk about it, but they made me cry as a kid. However, I've always hated Duke. Always couldn't stand Duke as a kid, and then it just gets worse when you get older. However,
because Duke, in our minds, how we see it in our lifetime,
they're the evil empire.
The Duke Blue Devils are the New England Patriots.
Yeah, the New York Yankees from the 90s.
And they are the Alabama Crimson Tide, and they are all these other things that people look at and they go, they never lose. And after a while, exactly how it is. And after a while, people just like to see other people lose.
Well, and here's one thing I want to bring up, and this kind of segues us into what I wanted to bring up, were Williamson's comments to the Charlotte Observer after making the commitment. He said, it was always more than basketball with Coach K. That basketball can stop bouncing for you at any time. If basketball was to end for me tomorrow, I would know I'm in good hands at Duke University. And the thing that we look at with the pitch, and the Duke pitch is, if you come to Duke, you are set for life. This has also been brought to life by Hamidou Diallo, who's currently with Kentucky. In 2016, he had said Kentucky's pitch is the NBA thing, where Duke's pitch was just like, if you come to Duke, you're going to be set for life. It's more than just basketball. Where those two quotes right away kind of conflict with each other, where Williamson saying, well, yeah, it's more than just basketball. Coach K saying, oh, it could stop tomorrow, but you're going to be in good hands. Where Hamidou's saying, yeah, it's more than just basketball, but basketball's what I focus on. And really, that's the thing I mentioned when, if you want to win in college, go play at Duke, because Coach K winning as coach for Duke. However, if my goal is I want to get to the NBA and I want to be a first-round draft pick, I'm going to Kentucky, because Coach Cal has a reputation of not just getting players drafted in the first round, being there with you every step of the way. And Coach Cal actually had comments where he kind of threw some shade on Duke for their recruiting pitch. And we'll go through this after I read it because it was a little confusing through the first read. The exact quote, long, lengthy quote from Coach Cal was, "I don't sell when you come here. The university and the state will take care of you for the rest of your life. You may buy that, and I've got some great property in the swampland in Florida I can sell you as well." That's a joke, by the way. Every one of us in this country is based on you have to take care of yourself, prepare yourself, and then when you make it, you make sure you're helping, and along the way, you're bringing other people with you. That's what we're trying to do. Just give these guys the best opportunity. We're not trying to say that this university or state will take care of you for the rest of your life. There's no socialism here. This stuff is you have to go do it, and we're going to help you do it. Some like that, and some don't like that. Here's how I read into these comments. This is now the third time you and I are hearing these because I read it twice to you before the podcast. Because like I said, when you hear it the first time, you're kind of like, not sure what he means. Here's what I think Coach Cal is meaning. It goes to a very silver spoon mentality where he is seeing the Duke recruiting pitch of like, oh, come to Duke, you're set for life. The university and the state will take care of you as, oh, you're coming to Duke? Okay, walk through the door. Here's your silver spoon that has the Duke logo on it. Make sure you keep that the rest of your life. That's your ticket for the rest of your life. Here's your silver spoon. Whereas he's saying, no, you come to Kentucky, I'm going to be here to help you, but you're doing the work. It reminds me of those two parents where you have the parents where it's like, I got this project to do. Don't worry, Dad'll do it for me. Where the other parents where it's like, oh, I got this project to do. Okay, when are you fucking doing it? Kind of a thing. And that's what I see here, where he's kind of throwing the shade on Duke, saying it's a very silver spoon mentality of like, oh, don't worry, you don't have to do it. Like, if you don't make it, we got you covered. You're set for life. You don't have to do it. Don't worry about it. That's what I think he's saying.
Well, I love Coach Cal. Mm-hmm. I think he's a great coach. I think he's a great man, a great human being, and I do agree with his comments. But do you think that part of that just stems from him just being really sour that Duke not only got Zion Williamson, but Duke got the top
maybe
three
a little bit
recruits, and because now Duke, not Kentucky, has started to become the spot for one-and-done NBA players?
Well, maybe a little bit. And the reason why is, I mean, I'm looking at the recruiting class for Kentucky right now, where the guys that they have, all number ones in their state, for Virginia, Maryland, and Wisconsin, you've got Johnson, who's the 12th overall recruit. You've got Quickly, who's the 13th overall recruit. And then you've got Hero, who is the 33rd overall recruit for Kentucky right now. You add Zion Williamson to that class, and Kentucky is right up there at the top. Now, the thing with Kentucky that I'm kind of like, it might be that a little bit, but not a ton, is I would be all over that boat if Kentucky was Clemson. Clemson has to be like, they have to be the worst feeling at this moment. The only way I can describe it, if you're a Clemson fan out there, I know we had a couple of you for football, don't know if you guys carry over for basketball, but the only thing I can relate the feeling to, if you're Clemson right now, is how I felt as a Fighting Illini fan when Cliff Alexander made his decision. The only thing that made it worse for him is that he went to pick up the Illinois hat, but then was like, oh, what am I doing with this? And then put on the Kansas hat. We all thought he was coming home. He was all staying here. The guy from Curie High School in Chicago going to come down, our state, our team. That's what I can feel like from here. I know it's not the our state, our team thing, but pretty much everyone thought he was going to Clemson. So if anyone should be upset, it should be Clemson, that he just spurred him and went to Duke. However, I could see a little bit of the Coach Cal comments just being like, fuck these guys. Why go to them? We're a lot better than them. I can see that a little bit.
So I also do want to bring up, and I want to kind of go back to the comments that you were making when you were talking about the
silver spoon,
the silver spoon, and the comments made by Coach Cal and everything like that. So if Coach K is trying to sell Duke, and he's saying that, you know what, even if basketball did end for you, you could still stay here and you could still be set for life. How many institutions do you think try and not even basketball aside, athletics aside, how many institutions do you think are trying to sell kids in high school? If you come here, we're going to help you be set for life. We're going to give you the tools to be successful in life and be set. How many schools do you think are doing that? They're all trying. I know what you do. Are you trying to do that? Are you trying
yes.
to do that, to bring students in, to sell a university, to say, hey, this place is going to have you set for life because you'll graduate from here with a college degree and skills that will have you set for the rest of your life? I'm not trying to defend a thing of saying, hey, you're set for life. You're a Duke Blue Devil. It's okay. But I do in a sense want to say that, that's not unusual. That is not unusual to say anywhere that you're going. You could say that you're going to bum F nowhere university. And they're going to say, you come here, we're going to have you set for life.
Well, the thing that I always, when I try to sell a student on the university I work for, that's at the core of it. Like, we're going to be there. Like, part of me relates a little bit more to Coach Cal in a way where we're going to be there for you. We're going to have the tools for you. We're going to have your back. But when it comes down to it, you got to put in the work. Like, that's what it's going to be. And that's at the core of this, at the core of the statements that we're seeing now is the Duke atmosphere and the Kentucky atmosphere are totally different, to where from the outside looking in, because neither you nor I are in the locker room, from the outside looking in, seeing these coaches every single year, how they coach, how they're out there, it kind of is like, you mentioned, like, oh, Duke is like the Yankees, the Patriots, the Alabama Crimson Tide, they never lose. A part of it, too, is kind of like a little bit of like, when it comes to the world of college basketball, they're the aristocrats of college basketball. I go to Duke, and Duke is the best, and there's a little bit of that. Not as much as it was maybe in the Christian Laettner days, but there's a little bit of that too. Like, you go back and watch the 30 for 30 about the Fab Five. That was the big difference. The Fab Five was the underdogs. The Duke was the basketball royalty when it came to college basketball, where I kind of see the same thing here. Duke basketball royalty, Kentucky is right there with them. It's not like they're down here. But in Coach Cal's mind, it's like, we fought to get here. Like, we clawed our way to get here. You're just there. And that's what I'm, right or wrong, that's what I'm reading into it, is a little bit of the aristocrat versus the poor peasant who has to fight his way to get to the top. Even though both of them are pretty much, like, you talk about Kentucky and Duke over the years, both of them have been really good teams in the years leading up to this one, as Kentucky is now out of the top 25 for the first time since 2014.
Yeah, I think you could look at both of them actually as basketball royalties in the past couple of years. I think you could, because they've both been to the big dance. They've been there a couple of times before. They know how it works. They know how it goes, and they've won it. So I think that all to just make this easier, all Coach K would have had to have said is, we're going to have you set for life, but it's going to take a little bit on your part to do it. And is that implied? It should be. Because just because you go to Duke, if you did nothing to help yourself, it would mean really nothing except that you're multiple thousands of dollars in debt of student loans. But unless you're there on a completely full ride as a scholar athlete, probably is, especially a good one. But I am just saying that it's not necessarily not assumed that you're going to have to work for it if you go to Duke. It's something that maybe wasn't explicitly said like it was explicitly said when Coach Cal said it. But Coach K, I highly doubt. I mean, he's a smart guy. I highly doubt that he is saying that and not thinking if basketball ended for you, you'd still be okay. You've still got our support system, and if you work hard, you're going to be just fine.
Before I ask you the final question I was going to ask, I want to bring this first question up first. This is me doing a little inferring, but if you had to put a percentage on this happening, what percentage would you put that either RJ Barrett or you have Cameron Reddish, that either one of those guys got an inkling or heard from a little birdie that Zion was heavily thinking about Duke or questioning Clemson for Duke, that either one of those didn't try to either hit him up through Facebook Direct, try to hit him up through a Twitter direct message, try to get his phone number to say, dude, we got the number 1 and the number 2 here. You come over here. We got the top 3 here. We're going to rule the world next year. What percentage would you put on that happening? And this is me completely inferring something that we don't know really happened.
I'm people are probably going to laugh at me. I'd put 100% on that. Come on.
I'd say at least 50.
Come
at
on.
The lowest.
I would put 100% that one of them in some way,
maybe even both of them,
tried to reach out to him or tried to reach out to somebody who was close to him to say, does he know what we could have over here? Does he know that we could be the dream team? Come on, totally.
The true last question I'm going to ask you is, you've got RJ Barrett, we've got Cameron Reddish, we've got Zion Williamson. 2 of those, the 1 and 2, have already signed their letters of intent. Zion's a hard commit right now, assumingly he's going to sign that LOI. Look into your crystal ball for next year. These 3 guys leading Duke along with Trey Jones coming in. No matter how many of the starting 5 leave for the NBA this year, where's Duke when we get to this point next year and going into the tournament?
Number 1 in the ACC. They're the number 1 seed in the tournament.
Overall?
No.
Or
in their ACC tournament.
Oh, okay.
So they're number 1 there. They're a number 1 seed going into the tournament, and they're probably a top 4 overall.
Are they could they look in your crystal ball, give me a percentage that they are the number 1 overall seed when we get to March Madness next year?
50%.
50%? I think it would really come down to, for me, and I mean, this is not looking at, actually, I can pull it up really quick where the team rankings are. I would be shocked if they were not number 1. Yeah, they're number 1. So the top 5 recruiting classes right now for 2018, Duke at number 1, Oregon at number 2. They're going to be interesting because the one recruit that they do have that's huge is the center coming out of Nevada, Ball, which is going to be a fun name to say next year. Bol, Ball. Then you have UCLA, then you have Kentucky, then you have Kansas. That's your top 5 for the recruiting classes right now for 2018.
And I just want to say, you said Kentucky at what, number 3, number 4?
3.
Another reason why Coach Calipari may have been a little upset, because they could have
been
bumped
number
him
1
to 2, possibly number 1.
Or number 1. I mean, if you have the 1-2 recruit, I think it'd be hard to bump Duke at number 1.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
I know what you're saying. That would mean 4
you could possibly bump to 2, though.
Yeah.
You could possibly bump to 2. But
ahead of an Oregon team.
Yeah.
But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you guys think. What do you think about Zion's decision to go to Duke? What do you think it's going to mean for Duke and college basketball next year? And then kind of the side one that we went into that's a fun little discussion of, what do you think about Coach Cale's comments? What do you think about the whole Coach Cale's comments, kind of throwing a little shade at Duke? Let us know what you guys think down below in the comment section. But that is going to do it for the Primetime Podcast right here on Most Valuable Podcast. Housekeeping here at the end of the podcast. Number one, if you have not already, make sure to take that MVP survey. We want your feedback to help make this even better in the year of 2018. If you liked what you listened to, you liked what you saw, make sure to check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. It helps us keep the lights on and make sure that we can do more exciting things for you. If you want a t-shirt, that is all in the description. If you're on iTunes, make sure you go and give the Primetime Podcast a 5-star rating. And then also make sure to bookmark Most Valuable Podcast so you're always up to date with what's going on with MVP. I want to thank you guys for watching. Want to thank you guys for listening. And as always, have a good day, everybody.